Okay, so this video is going to take you through the first smiley face writing trick. In order to do the activities that we go through in this presentation, you're going to need your composition notebook, and you'll want to turn to the first available page. The title of your page should be Smiley Face Writing Tricks, number 1. And the first smiley face writing trick is the hyphenated modifier. So you want to write that down and then copy down the definition. The definition is a little technical, but by the time we get through the presentation, you should be able to understand what exactly is a hyphenated modifier. If not, please make sure you come see me. So, a hyphenated modifier is a phrase that describes an action, a feeling, or a state of being. But hyphens are placed between the modifying words. A hyphenated modifier is a phrase that describes an action, feeling, or state of being, and hyphens are placed between the modifying words. Go ahead and press pause if you need a few more minutes to write that down, as I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. So, I have a student example for you of a sentence that was written last year. It's an average sentence. Everything was perfect from my gelled hair to my neatly color-coded wardrobe. There's nothing grammatically wrong with this sentence. It even includes a little bit of detail. But when we went through the revision process and I worked with this student, we decided that a hyphenated modifier would better describe just how meticulously he put together his wardrobe. And this is what he came up with. Everything was perfect, from my gelled hair to my neatly color-coded, picked out from the night before wardrobe. So the hyphenated modifier in this sentence is picked out from the night before, and that modifies wardrobe. So the phrase picked out from the night before, as you see, has hyphens between each of the describing words for wardrobe. This gives the reader a little bit better image of just how important the clothes were to this student. So we're going to go through a few more examples. You do not need to write the examples down in your composition notebook, only if you think they may help you later on. So the first student example is, I remember getting up in our first of the morning light-lit living room in that old little house in Shawnee with my little baggie of fruit snacks to go wake up Mommy. So this particular student wanted to make sure that you understood what kind of light was coming in the living room. First of the morning light, and that is the hyphenated modifier, describing the light that was coming in the living room. The second student example is, as young adults, people of the male persuasion have a tendency to maintain an I am godlike so I can do anything demeanor. Again, instead of using the simple word cocky, Josh Moore decided to use the hyphenated modifier of I am godlike so I can do anything demeanor. And the final student example is, my mother gave me the it's time to do the dishes look on her face. Perhaps your parents can communicate a lot to you just by simply looking at you. So hyphenated modifiers describe how something looks, a feeling, or an action. In the next few slides, you're going to actually try and practice writing your own hyphenated modifier, and I give you some pictures in order to inspire that. So this is the first picture. In your composition notebook, I want you to attempt to use a hyphenated modifier to describe some aspect of this picture. It can be from the dog's perspective. The dog is actually jumping onto someone's legs, so it can be from the owner's perspective. But you're just going to try and copy down something that is going on in this picture and trying to use a hyphenated modifier to describe it. The one that I wrote down in my composition notebook was, the dog leapt into its owner's arms, giving it the I think I just got my manhood taken from me stare after visiting the veterinarian's office. And so the hyphenated modifier was the I think I just lost my manhood. Those would be separated with hyphens to describe the kind of look that the dog is giving. So go ahead and press pause and try and come up with your own hyphenated modifier. You'll want to bring me your composition notebook so that I can see if you're understanding this concept. Okay, we're going to move on to the next picture. So this is the second attempt at trying to use a hyphenated modifier. You can see there's a lot to write about in this one. Again, it can be from any perspective, but you're going to try and write a hyphenated modifier that describes something going on. The one that I wrote in my composition notebook was, the people in the back were in for a surprise when the girl in the front had the "I shouldn't have eaten that corn dog" look on her face as the cart plummeted downward. So the "I shouldn't have eaten that corn dog" look, right? Go ahead and take a minute and try and write your own hyphenated modifier sentence to describe something that's going on. Again, you may want to press pause as I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. The final practice. This is a picture of Beyonce in concert. You are to describe something that's going on in this picture. The one that I wrote down was, even Beyonce's hair got into the action as it did its best "let's do the wave" impersonation as the songstress seductively eyed the crowd. So at the end of this presentation, you should have 3 different attempts for 3 different pictures of using your own hyphenated modifier to describe something that's going on. I do want to give a word of warning that hyphenated modifiers can be overused. You do not want to use more than maybe 1 or 2 per essay, as it gets a little tedious to read. They are great when they are used in moderation, so make sure that you don't overkill the hyphenated modifier, but they can be a fun way to describe something instead of using the same adjectives that we use on a daily basis. Again, I want to see your examples in your composition notebook, so just bring those to me. And this is the conclusion of the first Smiley-Face writing tricks activity, which is the hyphenated modifier.